I just wanted to hop in at the beginning of the video and just give a quick forward. My audio scenario that I find myself in completely borked itself, so I've actually just elastic banded an old throwaway mic that my girlfriend uses when she's recording stuff so that I can make this video. So if the audio sounds off, I really do apologize. I have a new mixer coming in 2 days, and hopefully that'll resolve everything. But that's not why you're here today. The secret that I'm about to share with you is something that a handful of speedrunners have used in different iterations for very specific uses all throughout the history of Diablo 2, and I find it kind of wild that nobody's actually made a video on it, because it has much wider ranging use cases than just a little speedrunning trick here or there. And even for a casual player or a vet that's returning to the game, this type of information is something that I wish came in a Diablo 2 tutorial handbook. And it's wild that I just came across it while I was speedrunning myself and never really stopped to think about it. Now, if that's something that's interesting to you, let me go ahead and show you the real game scenario that I actually discovered this in while I was streaming today before my computer absolutely unalived itself. Now, if you haven't been following my live streams on Twitch or on YouTube, I've been running a lot of the Pacifist Paladin, and the Pacifist Paladin has a mad dash to be able to get enough gold together to be able to buy 3 pieces of Thorns gear, so you can return 3 attacker takes damage and begin getting experience before level 6, where you get Thorns aura, if you're unlucky enough to not get a chipped skull. And either way, you're going to be spending some time at Charcy shopping, because either finding all 3 of these or a 2-socketed shield can take a lot of time. Now, just very quickly looking at this pile of gear, the 3 pieces that the Pacifist Paladin needs to look at are armors, belts, and shields, because they're the only ones that can actually get attacker takes damage at level 1. After that, we need to pick up a pair of basic boots so we can imbue them at level 19, and hopefully pick up a 2-socketed armor and a 2-socketed helmet for a stealth rune word and nadir rune word, or just throwing in a couple ral runes for fire res. And that means I basically need to very quickly scan over every single piece of gear here and walk away with a complete memory of what I saw so I can stop and shop. And just to give you an idea of what I know I saw during all of this, so that you can get a better idea of how quickly we're looking for this information. This first belt right here is not a magic belt with no stats on it. The second one had +3 to life on it. The first set of boots that I'm looking at here do not have any stats on it, so I would typically buy this. There was a 2-socketed shield amongst one of the small shields, so I'm going to assume it's this first one. Perfect. And then I believe I saw sockets amongst one of the armors, so I would want to double check that. I didn't. It must have been amongst one of the hats. Nope, I just missed it entirely. So even in my multiple years of speedrunning this game, I can't perfectly memorize everything, although I am a little bit. No, okay, I thought I saw sockets somewhere. But that just gives you an idea of how much information we need to be able to process quickly to be able to shop for things. And I would be able to find attacker takes damage here. My belt wouldn't have it on it, so I would be out of luck there. And then neither one of the shields had it either. That means I would need to go shop again. And just to show you the example one more time, just very quickly scanning through everything. Okay, again, I saw some 2 life on this belt. I saw 1 socket amongst the armors. Nope, 2 sockets. Boom, bada bing, we had what we needed. Nothing amongst the helmets. Okay, that's fine. And then again, a regular pair of boots. So we got pretty lucky there. When you're at this level, the total number of affixes that exist in the game is such that it's pretty easy to shop for the things that you need. It gets a little bit harder when you get down to Akara. So typically at Akara, you're looking for a 2-socket staff because you want to be able to make a leaf rune word, and hopefully it has some other plus to skills that the sorceress might need, but maybe you're just making it on the assassin or the druid for early game leveling. You don't really care about that. Going through and individually checking every single staff can be a complete bore because you're not guaranteed to find one. Okay, we found 1 double socket staff. I guess there's nothing else over here, but no good stats on it. You would have to save and exit and go shop again. Now, what I'm about to tell you has implications all the way up to Act 3. It turns out once your character turns level 20, every single item that you would shop from Act 3 and up will always be magic bases. So you can't come here to Act 3 and your level 58 character looking for a shield that you could socket to make something like Ancient's Pledge. But because my character is below level 20, I can still shop here, and luckily there was 1 base here, so if I wanted a 12 ED shield, I could use this to go make Ancient's Pledge if I wanted to use my socket quest. But if you watched our speedrun attempts, you're probably a lot more accustomed to seeing us actually shopping in Act 2, because Farah can roll both large shields as well as kite shields. So there's a pretty good chance she typically has like 2 to 3, sometimes even 4 total shields here, where you have a really good chance of actually buying a 3-socketed shield straight off the jump. So you don't even have to use your socket quest on it. You can just go ahead and slap in the runes that you get from Quell Check and then make your Ancient's Pledge effectively for free. Now I'm talking a lot about like interesting things that you can shop from merchants, but obviously you already know that, or if you didn't know those specifics, now you do. That's not something to really make a video like this about. And it turns out I've actually already shown you the secret. You just may not have caught on to it yet. Let's go ahead and look at that level 1 paladin that was looking to purchase of Thorn's gear and figure out a way to more quickly shop from Charcy to save ourselves some time. So as a reminder, I need a magic chest piece, a magic belt, and a magic shield to be able to roll of Thorns on it. And then I need a gray or white armor to be able to put sockets into it, or hopefully shop for sockets to be able to make our rune words. Now, is there any way for me to already know what items I need to look at to figure out these two things? Well, the answer is yes. And this has been in the game the entire time. I can tell you every single item that's magic in this screen without looking at it. Now, you could assume that there's some kind of editing trick. So I'm going to save and exit, and I'll be moving my head in some kind of rhythmic way, just to show you that I'm not lying. I'm literally moving the entire time. Here we are, we're inside of the game, and I'm gonna go back up to Charcy, and I'm gonna tell you every single item that's magic, literally before I look at it. The first helmet, the first cap here is not magic. Nope. The second one is magic. Interesting. This skull cap isn't magic. This first quilted armor isn't magic, but the second one is. This first leather armor is not magic, and this first hard leather armor also is not magic. The first buckler, not magic. The second one is. The first small shield isn't magic. The second one is. The first set of leather gloves isn't magic. The second one is. First set of boots isn't magic. Second one is. And the first belt isn't magic, but the second one is. Now that's kind of interesting. I might have just gotten lucky. Let's go look at Akara. There's a lot more going on there. And when I say there's a lot more going on here, there's a little bit of logic I don't quite understand, and it has to deal with how these items are actually stacking in their generation. But the first wand is not magic, and the next two are. In the next row, the first wand isn't magic, but the next two are. Repeat, repeat, and then sometimes the two down here are both magic. Interesting. Now what about the scepters? Well, the first one isn't magic. The second one is. This one is in line. So I'm going to guess that it's not magic. I wouldn't be surprised if it was. Okay, so this one is. This is actually a continuation from the first line. And then that means that this isn't magic and that this one is. The staves get even more interesting. The first three aren't magic. 1, 2, 3. And the last two are. 1, 2, 3. And the last three are. 1, 2, 3. And the last three are. If we go over to the second wrap page, we have a single short staff here. So it's the first one, right? Nope. This is actually a continuation from the last list of short staves. There wasn't enough space to generate on this page, so it generates on the second page. If you're smart in the early game, you know that you can shop from Elzix for plus 10 movement speed on boots. What if I told you you could basically check half the boots? Because these boots are the only boots on the page, the first boots generated, they're not magic. But if I were to reset Elzix, something that you can do very easily by going down here into the sewers, little cool fact if you've never seen that. But now we have two pairs of boots. I don't need to check the first pair of boots, because they're not magic. And we know that it needs to be magic to have run walk on it, so I actually only need to check the second pair of boots. Now, while there are some dead giveaways of affixes that literally change the color of items, like here getting Frost Nova, here getting Frost Nova as well, and then here either Light Radius or Gold Find or Magic Find. This one was Gold Find. The purple one right here is all resistances, obviously. What if I told you you didn't need to check this first shield or the next shield? Because for whatever reason, when there are multiples of the item, as in greater than 2, typically the first 2 will not be magic. Typically they will be either superior, socketed, or base, and then the last one will be magic. But this even has really good applications for people who aren't looking to incorporate all these speedrunner little tips. But let's just go back to Pharah. There are only 2 shields that I need to check here to see if they have 3 sockets. It's the first large shield and the first kite shield, because the second large shield will always be magic. Resetting here, again, looking for a 3-socketed shield so I don't have to waste my socket quest here. I can check the first large shield and the first kite shield. Ooh, very close, because the second kite shield will be magic and the second large shield will be magic. There's even one more niche, really valuable use of this skill, and it's if you are a necromancer looking to make your very favorite white wand. Shopping for the wand that you want, you're going to require a bone wand, because none of the other wands here will actually get 2 sockets when the socket quest is used on them. But most of the time you're probably going through and checking all of these wands. That's a waste of time. You actually only need to check the first bone wand generated, which is in this column generated. So here, since it was first on the left, you would check this one. That means that every other bone wand that you would see in this screen are going to be magic, meaning you can't use them to make the rune word white. You've probably been checking every single wand, hoping to find one, when in reality, you just need to check the first 1 or 2. You know that you no longer need to check literally every single wand on this page. I don't need to check this wand because it's the second bone wand on the page. I only need to check the first one here. Another example, you're trying to make a rhyme shield out of a bone shield, so you're shopping at Drognin at it because you know that they can roll with 2 sockets. Well, I only need to check the first 2 shields if there are 5, because the next 3 are going to be magic, so I literally don't have to look at them. I can just check the first ones and move on with my day, saving yourself time. Here we have 4, so I'm going to assume the first 2 are not magic. Nope, interesting, okay. While the exact number of which items, the moment that there are multiples above 3 or 4, gets a little bit dicey, you basically just need to check from the back going forward. So let's say I was only looking for magical items, right? If I were to check these staves here, I have a bunch of gnarled staves. Let's say I only wanted to check magic ones that were low cost so I could buy them, re-roll them, and sell them for really high gold. I can keep checking backwards, and the moment that I hit a non-magic gnarled staff, I can stop looking in that row, because every other one will not be magic. But the moment that we get to a new row, these ones should be magic, and then typically only the first or second one would be non-magic. You can use the logic in whatever order you want, either looking for socketable bases or looking for magic items with specific affixes. You can go reverse or forward using this logic. And unlike some things which are just completely new to D2R, considering there are bugs from LOD that don't exist in D2R and there's functionality in D2R that doesn't exist in LOD, this one goes all the way back to the original game, which is why I was so confused that nobody had ever taught me this, or I never brought this up. Because full transparency, I think this will definitely impact speedrunners and their ability to more quickly optimize their searching of inventories and shops for specific items. But even tryhards and anybody who considers themselves more than a casual should probably have at least this one thing down in their little book of extra tricks that they can run through, because it's something that's valuable throughout the entirety of the progression of the game. Even if you're just going back to be able to shop for bases to make specific rune words, it saves you a ton of time. So the fact that it had never been brought up to me in the context of LOD was something that I found incredibly interesting, because that's where I started speedrunning and where the most diehard speedrunners have existed over the years. But go back and look at it. The first cap is not magic, the second one is. This skull cap is not magic, the first quilted is not magic, but the second one is. Both this leather and hard leather are not magic. It follows the exact same logic that you would have found in D2R, meaning that all those times that I was hard shopping for Charcy back in LOD trying to get this world record for pacifist, I could have been saving myself a huge amount of time. And it applies to the logic of everything here, so because this axe is a low axe and there's only one of it, I'm going to assume that it's not magic. The large axe, not magic, the second one is magic. The first spiked club is not magic, the second one is. The first short sword is not magic, the second one is, etc., etc. You do run into some interesting scenarios where one of the items is the only one that does exist, and then based off of its Q level, your character level, and the merchant level, or that area that has a minimum item requirement, you will sometimes just get magic items when there's only one of it. But even once you're finally running off and you're making an edge bow so that you can be able to shop from vendors for cheaper, I know that I only need to check this first short bow and this first hunter's bow because this second short bow will always be magic and this second hunter's bow will always be magic. And there you go. There is apparently a very cool logic that you can use to be able to determine without even hovering over an item whether or not it will be magic. This allows you to more efficiently shop for bases, for sockets, for low tier rune words like stealth, malice, steel, nadir, as well as more useful ones like rhyme and ancient's pledge, leaf on a fire sorceress, white on a bone necromancer, even going so far as to make a splendor shield. This will allow you to more easily shop for 3 socketed armor bases from Farron Act 2 for things like treachery in the early game, or even a wealth for later on. And then on top of that, if you know you're looking for specific affixes, like me in my speedruns for attacker takes damage, but maybe for you where you're looking for high resistances and movement speed on boots, magic find on gear, or even if you just want to know which one of the items to look at more quickly in case you're buying out some additional gear pieces to fill out your gloves, your boots, your belt, or even your helmet in the early game, you can now completely skip all of the duds and immediately go looking at the magic options to be able to fill out resistances like this absolute crazy skull cap. Imagine having this on at level 13 and just laughing at beetles as they try to kill you. But now you can whip out this parlor trick and pretend to be Miss Cleo, being able to see into the future and understand what the items are before you even hover over them. Hopefully this reinvigorated your interest in being able to analyze this game, something that we probably have all assumed was completely figured out more than 10 years ago, and yet every single day seemingly we find more and more about how this game works to make you a better player, save you some time, or maybe even shave off a couple seconds from your PB if you're a speedrunner like me. And I think it's incredibly cool that we're still able to unearth secrets like this late into this game's evolution. As always, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to bring you this level of content with every single video that I make, so while it might take me a little bit longer to get things out, hopefully every video leaves you either better educated, a little bit entertained, or has shown you something that you've never seen before. Go ahead and leave a like on the video as well, because that helps YouTube to know that other nerds out there could possibly gain something from these videos, and I'd love to hear from you down in the comments. I unironically actually would like some help. There seems to be some very interesting logic when there are multiple copies of items here. So in this case, there are 2 maces and then 1 is magic. But in the case of something over here like Drognen, where there are so many duplicate items in a row, in the example of either a bunch of shields here, it doesn't seem incredibly consistent how many of them are magic before they're non-magic, or how many of them are bases with sockets before they become magic. So if you want to go investigate that and show me your findings, you can either share it on Discord, comment in the video down below, or hit me up on social media in general. I'd love to hear from you. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. I truly hope that it helps, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.